imagining that it's your funeral, you've passed away, of course, and somebody's reading out your obituary. What would you want them to say about you?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with the founder of The Powerful Man, Tim Matthews. That's crap. That sounds rubbish. So what you guys don't know is we just recorded an episode that didn't record. So we logged out and jumped back in, and Doug was moaning, saying, I've got to come up with a new way of introing you. And I was like, come on, you want to say it 3 times a week, 3 times in a row. But what came out of that was Doug's sordid secret that it rings through his mind every night when he gets into bed, and even comes in between when he's doing certain things in his life. So hence the weak intro that Doug just gave me of Tim Matthews. God, you've got to change that. Well, I know that's your only ego trip for the day, but it's going to have to work. Well, Tim, we had a topic that we were going to bring to the table today. Basically, what are you going to be known for when you die?
Yeah, what will you be remembered for? So how this has come about. So yesterday I was reading a book actually, and I came across something that really struck me. And it was the guy that invented dynamite. Now, he was reading his brother's obituary, but the reporter had written the guy's name wrong. And actually, it was written with his name. So he was reading basically what looked like his own obituary. And the obituary went on to say how he had invented dynamite and the effect that this had had on the world and how many lives he was responsible for killing and the blood he had on his hands. And this reporter really went to town on his impact on the world. And right there and then he was like, wow, is this what people are going to say about me when I'm gone? Is this really what I'm going to be remembered for? Because, he didn't really think much of it. He knew that his dynamite may have been used, in certain ways, but he not really thought about it much. He just, gone with his business. But when he read this, it really made him pause and just reflect. And in that moment, he made a commitment and a promise that he would be remembered for something much greater than the lives killing, let's say, the innocent people. And this guy went on to establish the Nobel Peace Prize. So instead of being remembered for war, he was literally remembered for peace. Massive U-turn, huge. And there's an exercise that you're invited to do in the book, and it's all about writing your own obituary and imagining that it's your funeral. You've passed away, of course. It's your funeral. And somebody's reading out your obituary. What would you want them to say about you as a father? How would you want to be described and remembered as a father, as a husband? What kind of impact would you want them to describe that you have had on your community? How would you want them to say that you impacted the world with your business and your legacy? And it really got me thinking, wow, what would people say about me? What do I want people to say about me? And I think it's so easy to get swept up and just swept away in getting things done that we often lose sight of the bigger picture of what we really want to be remembered for. And we spend so much time striving in business, and sometimes it's meaningless, right? It's just to hit certain financial markers that we think are going to make us feel like a man, or feel better or significant or whatever it is, or give us some kind of sense of safety. But when we hit it, nothing changes other than the goalpost moves and we go again. And the people around us then get tired of the constant chasing and never arriving. Although you reach the milestone, you've moved the goalpost. And then they end up paying prices, right? And a man's legacy, for sure, can be within the business that he creates and how that positively impacts the world. And also a huge part of a man's legacy is his family, his children, how he's remembered. And yeah, like I said, Doug, it really, really made me think about myself, men that we work with, and the men that come into the powerful man movement and what they are searching for and seeking, because it's almost like the men are having the same epiphany that this guy did when he read his brother's obituary that had his name in. They've realized, holy crap, I want to be remembered for something better. I want to be something more than this. I know I'm capable of being a better husband, of being a better entrepreneur, of being a better father. And I want to be remembered for that. And that's what sets the quest of what we do, right? So what are your thoughts on this?
Hey, sorry to interrupt the show, but I wanted to ask you a question. Do you ever feel like something's just missing? Like there's something more out there and you just can't put your finger on it? I totally get it. Go over right now to thepowerfulman.com/freedom to discover the system that other businessmen just like you are using. We've included 10 case studies, 10 men just like you who have found the solution and have found their way on their path. And we want to share that with you. Go over to thepowerfulman.com/freedom right away. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I've done this exercise quite a number of times, and I think it's great. When we think about men as being a man, and especially when you get to a certain age, I've done this exercise in my 20s, my 30s, and now my 40s. We think about legacy. What legacy do you want to leave? Excuse me. And you think about Alfred Nobel, and I heard the story a little differently. I heard a reporter screwed up and thought he was dead and wrote his obituary. But any time, you imagine, his obituary read, here's this guy who basically has torn the world apart with his inventions. He had over 300 patents or so, and most notably dynamite and, different things that eventually went into nitroglycerin, et cetera. And so they ripped him to shreds in this obituary, and that's when he made a turning point. No one knows why for sure, but at the same time, why do we do the things we do? Right? Are you going to be known as a guy who hustles? He was a father, a husband, but yep, you know what? He worked really hard. 60 hours a week, he put them in. What is it that you really want to be known for? Or do you want to be known as the fun dad, or known as the husband who swept his wife, off of her feet on a regular basis? And do you want to be known as this tycoon of industry, the industry that you're in, this business professional who also cared about his community? I think it's important, Tim, to sit down and, as we do with business strategy or anything else, begin with the end in mind, right? Begin with, what is that obituary going to say? Who shows up to your funeral? That's another fun exercise. Who's showing up to your funeral when you die? Right now, honestly, guys, think of all the people who would fly to another part of the world, or maybe it's just you just associate with people in your hometown. Either way, who would show up to your funeral? Maybe it's a rainy day. People are going to be like, Doug, he's a nice guy, but I'm not going to the funeral. Or are you going to be one of those people that people fly from all over the world to attend just to pay their respects? Now, it's not just an ego play, although the ego can come into this, but what is it you want to be remembered for? And guys, this can craft a lot of your decisions and the way you live on a day-to-day basis. So, Tim, I think this is an amazing exercise. I think it's one that all the men should do. And quite honestly, I think we should stop the podcast episode and, guys, just do this exercise that Tim put forth.
Mm. Do you know what? Me too. I'm kind of thinking, do we actually do that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
So, gentlemen, I'm going to call you forward, and we're going to stop this. I don't care if you're working out or what have you, or you're in your car. Obviously, as soon as you get to a place, put it in your calendar right now. Pull over if you have to, because it's that important. And begin with the end in mind. Write your own obituary. I know it's morbid, but do it. Write your own obituary. And then the second thing I want you to answer is, who is going to show up to your funeral? We're all going to die. It's inevitable. We're strong enough to accept that. So here on this earthly plane, who's showing up to your funeral, and what does your obituary say? And I'll give you bonus points if you tell me what your family, or those people closest to you, if you don't have family, what they say at your funeral about you and their experience of you in these coming years.
Wow.
All right, gentlemen, to that end, we're going to leave it there and have you guys get to work. Once you're done with that, I encourage you also to go over to thealphareset.com and check that out, thealphareset.com. And we'll be seeing you on future episodes of The Powerful Man Show. Get to work.